tabi oldu YouTube.
Bakayım şimdi ben. Bakayım bana gelmiş mi? Bu arada hocam.
Efendim?
Nasıl yapacağız? Şimdi akşam şuradan görünüyor. Gelen soruları falan nasıl olacak? Ben bir görüşüp cevap vereceğim, yoksa sen oradan soruları toplayıp bana mesela WhatsApp üzerinden mi göndersen?
Onları İbo yapacak abi. İbo bütün sosyal medyayı takip ediyor. Bütün soruları size atacak.
Tamam, bana nereden atacak? WhatsApp'tan mı?
Nereden atacaksın İbo?
Anything you prefer. Anything you prefer.
Yeah, WhatsApp should be okay. I think I'll keep my WhatsApp on. I think that's best. Otherwise, other platform might be the problem.
Gözüküyor mu abi? Çıktı mı?
Yes.
Şimdi bu şunda hiçbir problem yok. Yani bununla başlarsak biz yok. Burada istediğimizi seçiyoruz buraya.
Evet. Şimdi şu anda ben büyük ekrandayım. İbrahim küçük ekranda.
Evet.
İbrahim, you're on the small screen.
Turn off my video.
No.
You can test how it is.
Okay.
Evet, şunu düzeltmemiz lazım şimdi. Çünkü Zoom'un burada gözüküyor. Altı. Şöyle yapmamız lazım bunu.
Nerede? YouTube'da görünmüyor şu anda.
Abi. Ivo, when everything starts, I think you must go out from Zoom.
Tamam. Shall I go out now or should I stay?
No. When people come.
Tamam.
But if he goes out, can he see the questions coming through the Zoom?
I'll follow on Facebook and Twitter.
What about Zoom?
Zoom questions you will see.
I should follow it. Okay, fine.
No, if you say I can, I'll turn off my camera and I'll just follow it. That's not a problem.
No, Ivo, you must go because only the panelists are here, but you can connect from the other side.
Tamam.
Şimdi bunu koyacağız YouTube'a.
Evet, böyle.
Bu dursun burada. Başlayınca da abi şununla başlarız. Ben size şunu da İbo'yu alıp buradan sizi koymam lazım. Ama siz başladığınız zaman koyman lazım. Çünkü yeriniz değişecek.
Uzun bir hayat. Benim 2 dakika işim var hemen.
Tamam.
Kamerayı kapatıyorum.
Şunlar şekilde gösteriyor. Evet işte ona göre uzun kesin kısaltayım.
Oturayım önce. Yok belki de gerek. Çok zayıf kaldın.
Zayıf derken?
2 kat geçirelim. Sen hatta 3 kat geçirelim.
Biraz daha yukarıda olsun. Şu an çok aşağı.
Evet. kat 4 kat içeriyoruz.
Yani,
Bayağı büyüdü.
yani getireyim keseyim sonra bir tane daha getireyim bir tane getireyim öyle mi yani? Yoksa bunu direkt şöyle
Ben de
yapabiliriz. Şuradan da.
Ne var? Bunu yüksekliğine ayarlayalım.
Sen oraya bir koyalım mı? Ben de bir
YouTube nasıl İbo?
Abi. YouTube is nice abi.
Sen otur bir.
Sen şunu altta tutabilirim. Ben korkuyorum kopya verecek.
Wow.
Rahim.
Specifically designed it.
Biraz büyük geldi sana.
Ben biraz da yanaşmayacağım. Daha şey yapacağım. Geri doğru yanaştım.
Şunu hiç çıkar. Genelde biraz fazla bir şey var.
Abi ben bir namaz kılıp geleyim.
Ben de kılacağım ki daha vakit bizim de girmedi gibi. Önce suya.
Abi, I'm also leaving. I'll join and I'll send you the questions up. I didn't know.
Rahim, thanks.
Okay.
Sen kompüteri biraz daha yakınlaştıracak mısın sana? Ha? Kompütür sana biraz daha yakınlaştıracak mısın? Ha? Neyse. Sonra asalım sonra sen yakınlaştır. Ayarla.
Öyle.
Şunlar çekiyorum.
Rahim artık şu anda gitti.
Bence tutar diye düşünüyorum.
Sen şunu şöyle tutar mısın? Şöyle.
Reis de iyi ya. Reis de işe değil.
biçen başımızda. Erhan, gel böyle kal Erhan. Erhan. Alo, Aydın abi. Are you here? Ses gelmiyor. Ses yok. Serkan hocam burada mısın? Alo.
Buradayım abi ben. İkinizin de sesini alıyorum.
Tamam.
Ay hocam sen duyuyor musun beni?
Tamam geliyor ses abi.
Tamam. Şöyle buraya. Nereye? Sesiniz YouTube'a gidiyor şu anda.
Aydın abi. Yeni imajınız fena.
Diğerleri gelmedim de. Şu an Facebook'ta canlıyız hocam.
Kaç kişi var belli mi?
Yok daha ben bakmadım ama şuradan
Sen Aydın.
şu anda
Facebook'a
YouTube'da
çıktı mı abi?
4 kişi görünüyor. Nasıl?
Facebook'ta gözüküyor mu?
Hocam ekran olarak davetiye var ama sesimiz gidiyor.
Facebook'ta.
Evet.
Tamam. YouTube açık. YouTube'u görüyoruz mu abi? Ses gelmiyor. Ses yok. Ben sizi duymuyorum. Serkan Hoca?
Duyuyorum abi sizi.
Aydın abi sizde problem var.
Ben duyuyorum ama Aydın abi. Duyuyordum.
Şimdi
Aydın abi şeyi kapalı abi. Mikrofonu kapalı. Sesi kapalı.
Ses yok.
Sorry, tamam. Şimdi geldi mi?
geldi.
Tamam, mikrofon kapalı olunca gelmiyor halinde.
Duyuyorum. Şimdi düzeldi ama.
Serkan Hocam sen YouTube'dan bakabiliyor musun?
Ben bakıyorum.
Bizim hanım bakıyor abi. Aydın abi bir daha ses verin. Aydın abi sesiniz gelmiyormuş.
Ses geliyor mu? Ses veriyorum. 1, 2, 3.
Geldi.
Tamam.
İbrahim geliyor.
Sesini iyice kıstım.
İbo?
Yeah, abi.
Okay. Abi can you connect with the other link? Not this one, because this one is changing
I
the...
tried that only, abi. I used the link that you sent me.
No, it is not,
I mean-
because it is not open yet.
No, I mean the link that's on the invitation. I used that link.
Because I need to activate here in this side, so I didn't make it active now for the other link.
I'm leaving. I used the other link. Tamam.
Millet gelmezse Serkan Hocam, Aydın abi ikiniz artık bir saat konuşursunuz. Abi sizde problem var Aydın abi, ses gelmiyor.
Mikrofon şimdi geliyor mu?
Geliyor.
Tamam. Şey diyeceğim de biz elemanlara erken bağlanın demedik ya.
Geldi. Mr. Johnson is here, I think.
Hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello,
Hello.
welcome. Alright.
YouTube'da Aydın abinin sesi hala yok. Bence al hepsini. Üsttekileri alsana ilk önce. Kafese koyacaksın onları.
Daha 7 dakika var Aydın abi.
Ben öbür misafire de söyledim biz online'ız diye.
Tamam. Yani isterseniz abi 7'de direkt başlayın. Gelen katılır artık. Yapacak bir şey yok.
Tabii. Zaten bir kişi kaldı. Yok pardon. Nazlı Hanım'la Petron.
Nazlı Hanım abi mesaj atmış.
Evet.
Gelemiyor.
Öyle mi? Yok. So we were supposed to be 4, but now it seems we will only be myself and 3 speakers. So we're just waiting for one more person so we can start sharp at 7 o'clock.
Abi şu anda Zoom'dan her taraftan başladık yayına.
Gina says she's struggling to connect, which was trying. Do you think we should start? Okay. We're waiting for one more speaker, but it seems she's struggling with her connection a little bit. So we can perhaps get going with our topic. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, great. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Aydın. I am at Turquoise Harmony Institute's office in Cape Town. And I've been tasked to facilitate this evening's discussion. In fact, we were supposed to have another great individual who was supposed to facilitate the discussion this evening. As you might have seen on the invitation, but unfortunately his health has not been helping him, and we have been informed that he had to attend to his health, and we really wish him well. We hope that he recovers quick, and then he joins us back again, because he is somebody who has been involved on the ground with this kind of work. So it would have been really a lot more meaningful to have him participating in this discussion. Okay, so well, with the new situation, as you all know, it has been difficult to organize face-to-face events, and it has been made a bit easier to organize events of this nature and discussions. And I think this is offering us a new opportunity in terms of a new platform, but also we felt it was important to focus on topics which are relevant to what is happening now in the community. And therefore, we decided to host this meeting with individuals who are on the ground, who are working with the people, because we are facing a situation that we've never anticipated. Although what is striking us at the moment is probably resulting out of an already existing situation that some of us were aware of, but some of us were not aware of the situation's severity. And it is really a great problem. As it's often said, South Africa is one of the most unequal societies. It was a given reality, it was there already. But perhaps now, when we have been stopped by a virus which we can't even see, we are now pushed into our corners, and we are given time to think. It's almost like in a classroom, the teacher gives the child a timeout. You go to your corner and think about what you've done. It's almost like that. I'm not sure what everyone's faith position is, or you can call it either God has given us timeout, or nature has sent us a warning that we must sit down and think about our actions, how we have been treating the natural resources and the environment that we live in. So here we are facing a really serious situation, and we are sitting in our homes. Some of us are trying to go out and do work, but most of us sit at home. And then we really ponder how we ended up here. And then we start thinking about our role as a member of the society. Then we start thinking about our fellow human beings who are really facing extreme difficulty. And sometimes when we sit and eat words, because one of the major aims of this evening's discussion is to inform everybody of what is happening and how serious the situation is, and also to encourage people to get involved. So the more people we reach, it's going to be better for the greater good of everyone. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go around by asking certain questions or to raising certain points. But I think before we start, I would like to give everyone a platform to talk about yourself and your if you're representing an organization, talk about your organization, what you do, how you operate, especially under the circumstances, how you conduct your activities, and you get volunteers, you get support, and etc. So whatever you would like to say about the work that you do. So maybe I'm looking at my screen. I see Jonathan just next to my picture. So maybe I will go with you, Jonathan.
Thank you for that. Thank you for giving me an invite to this. It's a real honor to partake in this. So my name is Jonathan Jansen. Not directly family of Professor Jonathan Jansen. I haven't even met him, but I think we have some of the same brain waves, the way we thinking, but that's fine. So I represent my community right now. I am representing Manenberg, a community on the Cape Flats. And then I represent within there, I'm representing a collective of organizations that is currently responding to the need of the community. So we've come together in a collective way, sharing resources, working together. And so my role is coordinating. So I'm coordinating in that space. That's basically it. I do have a real job. And actually my real job is almost similar to what I'm doing. So I work for an organization called Amanda Idi Football. And within in that space, I am a partnership coordinator. So we use the methodology called collective impact, trying to bring as many organizations or structures working together on the same plan. And that might help, bring more services to the community around the same idea. So that's what I do. And luckily, that's my skill. I was able to bring some of that other things together. That's me.
Great. Thank you very much, Jonathan. We'll come back to you again to hear more about the details of what you do. The next on my screen is Serkan from Time to Care. So just in a few sentences, if you can tell us who you are and where you operate, etc., and then we'll come back to you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Aydin, for the platform you are giving to Time to Care. My name is Serkan. I'm the director of Time to Care, and hope that lockdown is treating everybody well. On my side, it's quite well, spending time with the kids, helping them with their studies. Most importantly, my wife seems okay. So far, so good. We don't need to see the marriage counselor after the lockdown, hopefully. We are NGO, we are Time to Care. Time to Care is to inspire a culture of unconditional care for the other by giving to those less fortunate. And Time to Care aims also provide humanitarian aid relief and skill development to the most deserving people and communities in South Africa and Southern Africa. And we have different projects, different activities. As the time goes on, I would like to brief those also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I know Katrina has been struggling with the connection, but I think she seems to be fine okay now.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
That's great. I was put in touch with Katrina this afternoon when we had an issue with one of our other speakers who unfortunately couldn't be with us. So thank you very much, first of all, for accepting the invitation in such short notice. And also when I heard about you and then briefly about what you do, I was really excited because I think when people hear that, I think they will know what I mean. So I would like to hear from you who you are, what you do. Yeah.
So yes, thank you very much for inviting me to be a part of this process this evening. I'm very honored by the invitation. Yes, I'm Patrina Paco and I work for a non-profit organization called Peninsula School Feeding Association. The organization has been in existence for over 62 years already. And our sole purpose is that we do feeding of learners within schools, also early childhood development centers, and recently we had started moving into some tertiary education centers also. To date, we feed 30,000 learners every day 2 cooked meals, and we do that solely on funds that we fundraise ourselves as an organization. We had recently, at least for the last 3 years, we became a service provider to government for the Western Cape Education Department. And through that particular program, we are then also able to reach a further, say, 300,000 learners who we then also service in about 466 schools. So that is what we do in a nutshell as an organization. And so when the lockdown happened, it was quite a situation for us to have to adapt and strategically look at how it is that we were going to start feeding learners in schools moving forward.
Okay. My next question is going to be what you are doing under the lockdown at the moment, under the circumstances. Are you still able to access support, funding? Are you still able to continue to do what you used to do? So maybe while we're talking, Katrina, you want to continue? And also, if there are other urgent needs that you discover as you work in the community, because I think this new situation probably brought up new scenarios, new needs. So if you things that you come across, if you can talk about it a little bit as well. And before you start, I would like to ask everyone who is watching on different platforms to please send us your comments and questions on YouTube, on Google, on Facebook. We have got somebody who's tasked to check your questions and then send them to us, and we will address them later on. Please go on.
Yes, so when we came, well, in South Africa, obviously there was first the announcement that we were going to have to look at a national state of almost disaster before we actually went into lockdown. And at that point, when we realized that the schools were going to be closing early, we started making plans with some of our schools to still be able to access those learners through community organizations as such. So we sent food out to community organizations situated in and around the schools that we support, and had them feed learners at least by preparing meals for about 2 weeks. And then after that, we then turned the approach towards food parcels when government obviously said it's a complete lockdown and they did not want people to be moving around at all. So we then took the approach of going to our donors and saying, where you would usually be donating to the organization R2.50 to feed a child for 2 meals a day, we went to them and we said, we want to be responsible. Can they then look at supporting us with 150 Rand, which then is a food parcel that we are able to give to not just the child, but to a family of 5 people that then lasts for a week. And I have to say that our donors have been absolutely amazing. We then also had donors sharing with others what it is that we were wanting to achieve in order to reach our learners still. And we worked closely with our school principals and also with the community organizations that we had identified. And we found a system of, one, doing house door-to-door deliveries of food parcels in some communities. In others, they were still coming to the community kitchens to collect a food parcel. And during those times, there would be community volunteers that would be assisting to ensure that there was social distancing that was taking place or being adhered to. And then when schools reopened, or there was the announcement that schools were going to start cooking again last week, when the Western Cape Education government said, look, they were reopening the schools and cooking for 2 days a week. We then asked whether our schools could then also get permits, and then we started doing, as from last week, or at least later from this week, we started doing distribution of the food parcels from the schools. And in some of our more volatile communities, the principals were collecting food parcels from us and then identifying their most vulnerable families and learners and going and doing door-to-door deliveries to those families. So yes, I must say that the response that we've gotten from our donors out there and from philanthropists and corporates and individuals has been absolutely amazing. And to date, we have now by Monday, we would have packed 25,000 food parcels, of which we have been able to distribute, what am I looking at? 17,000 of that.
Thank you so much, Katrina. We'll continue the discussion. Now, I think this time I'll go backwards. I'll ask Serkan. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you've done specifically under the lockdown, and how have you been managing in terms of the activities, and how is the support that you're receiving?
Sorry, I struggled to hear you there for the last question. Sorry, okay. Could you repeat that?
I'm asking the next speaker, Serkan. He is going to talk about what his organization has been doing. I will come back to you with another question.
Thank you, Aydın. Most of our activities and the projects are based on townships, visiting the townships, and the education related projects. We had to cancel, of course, those ones. But we aware of challenges of some fellow South Africans due to lockdown period, and we believe that is an essential period for our time to be safe as the nation. Also, it is difficult for those who cannot work as they have to stay at home. That's why we wanted to reach out to those who are in need by giving out some essential items to those people. And we work with Nizamiye Foundation and Horizon Schools, and we got the help of Gauteng provincial government also. At this time, it is very important to know what is necessary and what is really needed by the communities to hit the target and not to waste people's donation and the time. So together with our advisory board and volunteers, we pin down some of the items urgently needed and focus on getting to them, to the people in need. Like last week, after our Together Against Corona campaign, in Alexander and Dipsut, we distributed almost 2,000 blankets, food hampers, almost same numbers, over 2,000 loaves of bread, hand soaps, around 1,400, and 2,400 hand sanitizers were distributed. And some of the people, first time in their lives, saw the hand sanitizer. They even tried to, it came with the bottle, and they were trying to drink it, thinking that it might be a water or something. So this is how vulnerable the station. During this distribution, also we witnessed people who had been waiting in the line from early times of the morning, and there were old people, disability people who came to collect their hampers, knowing even it is quite dangerous for them to be out at the moment. But for me, it was eye-opening to see the needs out in the townships, and we have to do a lot more for them. Of course, we work with Gauteng provincial legislature, paying attention to social distance, and the metropolis and other government officials help us. And shortly, I would like to mention other projects during this lockdown, what we are trying to do, what we have initiated. And inspiring from being at home and having more free time, we encourage everyone to join our blanket square knitting drive. And winter is at our door. So we would like to reach our orphanages and old age houses. And we would like our friends to knit 22 centimeter by 22 centimeters square of blankets. And we are going to collect those squares, and our volunteers we'll join them together, and we will make entire blanket, and we would like to distribute different people. And the other way of helping others while staying again at home is our beanie campaign, like winter hats. Like the previous one, we invite our friends to knit beanies as well, to be distributed during the winter months to the school children also. And our upcoming project is during lockdown. It's next week. It's a Ramadan will start, and our annual Ramadan food hampers campaign will start. Normally, we distribute over 1,000, 2,000 of them. And again, we are starting handmade cloth face masks. And again, blanket distribution campaign. We will ask donors to donate 100 rand, and we want to distribute people. What is needed for the people during lockdown, for me, is food. People are hungry, and we get calls from different councillors in different townships. Like today, I got a call from Alexander, a councillor we met last week. She said to me that there are six shacks burned down, and 11 people, they are desperate, they need help. We immediately ask our volunteers to collect some second-hand items, some food. Hopefully tomorrow it will be delivered, or they will come and pick up from us. Like another area we go to, we run our programs in Westbury. We work with Marizel, who has been cooking for the school children and adults every day for at least 200, 300 people benefit from the feeding scheme. Her feeding scheme, she's been running for past 12 years. She needs bread and she needs clothes. These are the basic stuff people needed. And I got a call from a Zimbabwean and Congolese people, and they asked me if we only help South African citizens. They say they are also hungry, and they ask us not to forget them, and because they don't work and they are hungry. People need help, but we are dedicated and ready to serve and help different communities. Although we have very limited funds and resources, we will carry on working as our own level and ability.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarkan. We will now hand over to Jonathan, and he will talk to us about what he does in the community and the kind of activities, specifically on the lockdown. And by the way, when I think sent out invitations or your name, one of my friends who's a school principal, who came back to me and who said, is this Jonathan Johnson the same as the Jonathan Johnson who wrote the article that schools must be closed down? So I said, no, it's not the same one. So, okay, please.
Yeah, no, I'm always confused with the guy, but I'm okay. Look, let me first state this. Our president made the right call both times, when he first declared lockdown and when he declared an extension, right? However, lockdown in communities on the Cape Flats and in the townships means so much. It's so much different to when you're in a leafy suburb where you can actually run a marathon around your house, or because we see all of these things. We see people isolating themselves in their houses and in the suburbs, and they're either in their room where the kid is in their room and there's someone in the living room, and social distancing is easy to be obtained. But an average of 12 people in one house in Manenberg is it's impossible to observe social distancing in your house. And then we have a significant large group of people living within shacks and window houses, which is the approximately 3 meter by 9 meter, and often an average of about between 5 and 6 people living in that space. So it's impossible to observe lockdown in communities like Manenberg. So I want to, for people that is looking on social media and when they're posting photos of, of these communities and saying how why these people are actually, there's no other place for them to be. People live their lives on the street because their confines of their homes are too small for them to be in. Now, the challenge of lockdown also hasn't necessarily been thought through well in communities of the Cape Flats because we have almost, this is our own figure, almost about 50% of the employing contributors in this community earns daily. So they are domestic workers, gardeners, people that pick bins, recycling, like people that earn, they start the day, by the end of the day, they'll get their daily earnings and they can go and feed their family. Now, those people have no way to go to the UIF and claim from UIF or have their, maybe some of the domestic workers, their employers might have decided, we're going to pay you maybe certain days. But the majority of these people, when lockdown was declared on their income. There was nothing, right? And so then we have this group of people that is now suddenly around asking questions about how do I pay for bread, let alone electricity? Where do we get all of these things? Now, luckily, when lockdown was declared in our community, it was sort of like coinciding with the end of the month salary time or with the SASSA grant and some of those things. So for that first week, 3 or 4 days, it was okay, people had a bit of money so they could feed, but then that grew up. So at that time, when lockdown was declared, the community leadership, churches, mosques, people, just general people serving the community, we got together on a community WhatsApp group that was started about 3 years ago. And that group, we then started planning and asking these questions. Look, we have people still have money from grants, so they pay, but what happens next week when that happens? How do we deal with that? And so our first response was that we need to feed people. We need to feed people. We need to prepare ourselves. So it started out as, and then we tested the first Thursday of lockdown, we started our first pot of food. We started actually with 3 pots of food that day. We fed 900 people out of that 3 pots of food. And then we debated food parcels, right? But food parcels is not an option in this community because 12 people in a house with an average food parcel that probably maybe is about 350 rand, 400 rand, maybe a good food parcel will last them 2 to 3 days. That would be the average, right? And then what happens after that? What happens after food parcel? And then the question again, I'm going to say, question around electricity. When you give them a food parcel, you got to need to, then the assumption is that there's electricity, that they can cook, and that. And so we decided that we will not play into that chaos. There is already chaos within government and lots of promises and also our community. We saw it in the week in Tafelsig where, the community was protesting and burning tires because there were so much promises about food parcels. The food just doesn't come. We decided that we're going to just feed people. And so all of us the first 3 days was just, what is in your cupboard? What is there? And we pulled what we had. We had our first 3 days of food. But, luckily, some of us have friends outside of the community that has a bit of money, and we needed to ask people directly, shouldn't be shy. We should have said, listen, we need your money. That's what we need. We need for you to give us money so that we can go to this wholesaler store and buy food. God has been amazing. That we've seen an amazing generosity across the Western Cape. Not just to Manenberg, because I'm following quite a few other communities. Bonteheuwel has been amazing. We've seen how when communities organize themselves, then resources come. So we right now actual figures, not some suck figures, actual figures for the last week and a half, we've been feeding 3,000 people a day without any support from government. We have not yet received any support from government. We've received lots of promises from government. We've received funds from friends and people that either saw some of our posts and requested on Facebook or through friends and family. We were just this morning. I went. I'll call him a friend now because he saw I need, and so he'll be my friend for life. He called me last night and said, I want to donate 500,000 rands worth of groceries to your community. And I just today went to go and pick that up. We went to someone else gave us a bit of money. We went to the vegetable market and bought lots of potatoes, onions, and fruits, and vegetables, so that we can cook. So we are cooking, and our goal for next week, is to feed 5,000 people a day. It's a struggle when you have long queues at the pot, and then you're going to need to say to people, sorry guys, there's no more. So our goal is for the next week is to have no one turn around, no one turn away. We will make sure that we will cook. So right now we are cooking at 23 spots in Manenberg. We started with 5 spots. Now we are cooking out of 23 different kitchens. Each kitchen serving about 300, between 200 and 300 people. Either they're feeding porridge in the morning or they're doing an evening meal. It's an amazing accomplishment, and all because community has started organizing themselves.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you. Really, this is amazing work, and also it wakes us up again how serious the situation is, especially those of us who are living in areas where the effects of lockdown is not really felt a lot. I would like to share a few questions that came through, and also it links with the point that I would like you to talk about the next. Sherizan Basedin says, how can we as laypersons help? How can we get involved? And another person, another question she raised is that how do we ensure social distancing? Is that even possible when doing your work in the community? And then we have Berry from Cape Town Interfaith Initiative. She's the chairperson of CPII. She's asking, can or do you make use of other existing soup kitchens to increase your reach? I'm concerned about some groups which are falling through the cracks, and she says it's the people that Jonathan is talking about. She says, I'm concerned about who are falling through the cracks and unable to access help. Again, in the next round, perhaps this will be the second last round then, how people can get involved in specifically the work that you are doing in terms of it. I'm not sure what kind of assistance you need. Obviously, money, everyone needs money. But apart from, obviously, we will please talk about if people want to donate funding, how do they go about doing that? How do they get hold of you? And also, what other assistance do you need? Are there any specific urgencies that you have witnessed as you are working on the ground? I think Jonathan raised some really important issues of people earning daily. the people who are currently sitting at home, they don't have this daily income. And also, when you talk about it, for those people, they were employed by somebody or some companies. And what would be your appeal to them? What would you want to see them do in this difficult period? Jonathan, you want to go?
Yes, let me go. How do you get involved? I think there's lots of ways to get involved. First, stay at home. Yeah? Don't come to our community because we don't want to affect you and we don't want you to affect us. We are assuming, and the reason why I'm saying that is that if Corona hits townships and communities like us, it's going to be chaos because social distancing is almost impossible. Like I said, where people are at, and so please stay where you are. Support us through. I think we need encouraging words. We need people to pray for us. We need people to champion for us. Like I'm coordinating this process, so I'm going through 4 different WhatsApp groups, and often, we have discussions up until 3 in the middle of the night because we're planning for the next day, and we need all your support. We need encouraging words, people to pray for us, and to champion us. But first, we also need your money. Then, this beautiful guy that has bought us 5,000 rands worth of groceries. I've sent him the link, and maybe he's here listening to us. If he's not, then I'll definitely write to him and say thank you. But here's the thing: like, he went to Checkers in Constantia to buy 5,000 rand worth of groceries. And so it filled my boot and half of the backseat of my car, because he bought it at Checkers in Constantia. If he would have gone with me to an wholesaler in the community, that would have probably 5,000 rand worth of groceries would have probably filled a bakkie and a car boot, probably. So in supporting us, listen to us, people on the ground. People that is engaging with it, to listen to us and ask questions. And so, my friend Chris is his name. We spoke late last night, and he actually, he did ask, what is it that you need? And he bought, what we need, but he bought it from Checkers, so it wasn't, in a sense. So please listen to us and support us in our particular way. A question was how do we secure social distancing? So at our feeding, when we feed people, we have now made lines in the streets, a meter and a half apart, and we have neighborhood watchers and people that is helping us secure that people do stay away, keep the distance from one another. Our goal actually is to take food door to door rather than feed people coming to stand in a queue. But we do not have the full resource to do that. So another way people can support us and donate, for the people that is feeding and cooking, we are looking for protective gear. We're looking for those full body suits, masks and gloves. So if we have some of those things, we can tell people, listen, stay in your house, we'll bring the food to you. And so that means what we were originally planning is to have a area coordinator, but we have a street coordinator. In the street, the street coordinator goes and collects the containers of the houses that we've identified that need to be fed. And then, they dish that food and then take it back. So we definitely need some protective gear if people, and then make noise to government. Please make noise to government. If you have influence at all, make noise to government, because people, the situation is real here. It's and we do not have time for red tapes of like how many times you got to need to sit through a meeting and meeting before you actually get to, okay, we're gonna respond. I mean, we do not have that. Like we need to respond right now on the ground. So please use your influence, and make noise to whoever you know. We are struggling because government is not necessarily, either taking note of us or we might not be that important. Can you remind me of the other things that I need to speak to?
Okay, I think that's all. There's Barry is asking for your projected 5,000 meals a day. What will be your budget per day? I don't know if you have an estimate.
So right now to cook one pot of food is about $600 to cook 100-liter pot of food. We're cooking. So 600 right now. We're cooking at 20 pots. So that is 12,000 rand a day. We're doubling that to be able to cook for 5,000 people. We're doubling that amount. Luckily for us, we don't. Money hasn't been coming to us. We received goods in kind, and that's sort of like the rough figure. I think about between 12 and 15,000 a day.
Okay. The other question was that do you cooperate with other organizations? But I think your response basically covers that more or less.
Look, I mean, let me say this. I said it yesterday. It's impossible to respond to this in isolation. We must be working together because the need is so great that if we do not take hands, if we do not, we've been partnering now with organizations outside the community that like to come in, but they can't, so they'll support us. In the community, we've taken hands and said, listen, we are multi-faith, but right now you worship God, you do salah in the mosque, but today we all come together and we all feed. There isn't a conversation about is your food halal or not halal. We must make sure that everyone is fed, and that the only way of doing that is by taking hands.
Okay. Well, what we will perhaps, if it is okay with everybody, we are going to post contact details for everyone on our social media pages. So if people want to get hold of you, then we can facilitate that through that means. And also, before I give it over to Serkan, I would like to just remind everyone who's watching to once again share our social media posts and broadcast, and also remember to subscribe to our channels, which we are trying to use more actively in this period. Serkan, yes, what are the things that you're doing at the moment, the challenges you're facing, how people can get involved in the work that you do?
There was a question about social distancing last week during our distribution. The Metropolis officers and South African Defense Force, they were there. They were making sure that people have distance, 1-2 meter distance while they were getting into the place and even after the taking to leave the places, they were making sure about the social distancing and keep on announcing about it. The moment when it got difficult to do that, we had to cancel the distribution, and they took it to different places, and the councillors were there. Councillors decided to distribute house by house. So that is what happened last week. We have to be very careful, especially this type of distribution. A lot of people hear about it in the small townships. They immediately, even they have a list, the council have a list to who to give it to, but people, when they hear they are hungry, they go and they wanted to take something. So it wasn't easy, in fact. But we had marshals and all other people to help us last week. And assistance, when it comes to assistance, we need assistance, of course. With our projects like knitting the blankets. It's a small pieces, but it will make difference when you bring them all together. And it won't cost a lot. And winter is coming, and people need to get that second-hand clothes also, especially winter clothes. And we are collecting it for the past 3 years, and thousands of people get benefit out of that. We need that also. And if we can get those items, we will immediately distribute to the people because it's required also. And others like masks. Jonathan also mentioned about masks. We will do it at home. Our volunteers will do it at home. If we can spread the campaign to the different platforms, and more people will help us, and we distribute or we give out to the different government departments, they can distribute those masks also. It's not difficult to do it. It's written on our flyer also. So, and when it comes to specific urgencies, it's food. People need food. They are hungry. And of course, financial backup. We ask corporates to help us when we start our blanket campaign next week, and another food parcel campaign. We need help and support.
Thank you, Serkan. Now, Katrina, on your side, how can people get hold of you? How people can get involved in the work that you do? And in what ways can they support you? I think your microphone is off. Katrina, your microphone is muted, so you'll need to unmute yourself.
Sorry about that. So I think for us, the biggest challenge, well, we had two challenges. One was that we didn't have access to schools, which we found was the best space for us to be able to engage with our learners directly. And we are grateful to the education department that they have opened up schools, and we completely support them in their decision to do that, even though they are getting a lot of pushback for having done that. So I think that if there's people out there that can continue to assist in advocating, lobbying national to, just not in the Western Cape, but in other areas also, to start opening up schools so that we can ensure that our children eat. It is exceptionally important. Hunger is a major challenge, so we need to continue to lobby government to keep the schools open. The second thing is, and I think the other two gentlemen alluded to this, and that is the whole issue around social distancing when you are distributing food. We have been, in some schools, we've been very lucky that we've had principals getting the police or the defense force to be present to assist in helping to control the crowds. But that's not always happening in other communities, as we got to experience in Khayelitsha today. And also when one of our vehicles got attacked when we were delivering in Janoon. So another big need is that when we are distributing food, that we have the support of the police and maybe even community volunteers or community leaders, community police forums, availing themselves to be present at schools when the distributions are happening. Another big challenge is also that we are finding that children's food has been taken from them when they are walking home. And that's really, really sad. But it's also a sign of just how serious the situation is, just how great the hunger is, that if someone is going to take a plate of food from a child or a food parcel from a child when they are walking home with it. So that for us is a concern. We really want to appeal to community forums, community police forums to please avail themselves to be present and assist when the food is being distributed. I think another area for us that would really help is also, yes, we need the funding. It is crucial. We really want to look at a two-pronged approach where we can have more community kitchens that are cooking, but then also have the food parcels that we distribute. So we need the funds for that. But I mean, as Jonathan had said earlier too, It's one thing to have the food parcel, you need to be able to prepare that meal within your home. And so working with organizations like Community Action Network, I'm sure you've heard of the different cans that are out there. They are linking up with your more vulnerable communities, and they have been absolutely amazing. And some of them are looking at a voucher system, and I want to encourage others to do the same, so that you put the power in the hands of the individual to go and purchase at a store when they have time, but also that they're able to buy electricity maybe with those vouchers, so they can keep the lights on within their homes. So I think there's great benefit in getting these different can groups to work with our Bontebos, our Lavender Hills, our Bishop Lavises, and other areas in supporting them. But we also have the other need that street communities or street action groups, getting them to identify who are the most vulnerable in their community. You want to try and avoid what I'd say is it's double dipping, really, as such, where you have 5-6 food parcels landing up in one home. The need is really, really great, and we want to make sure that everybody gets. And right now, there is just so much to go around for everyone. And if you have these street communities that are able to identify who the most needy are, then you can go to one central point, and they then are the ones. So that for me, I think is another crucial thing. But we also need to maybe be lobbying government to be saying there are mosques, there are synagogues, there are churches that have had their own soup kitchens that used to operate in the past. And those soup kitchens have all been closed. And how do we then get the necessary permits and permissions for those soup kitchens to also open up again, so that they can also start helping with the cooking of meals, so that helps to alleviate the pressure points that you are getting, because people are really walking quite far to access a meal during the day, and then they stand in that long line, and the food is no longer there when the pots are empty. So how do we get more smaller coordinated kitchens, soup kitchens, community kitchens up and running, so that you kind of almost have in a block a kitchen operating, and people then know that this is where they go to get their meals. And so it's just looking at how we are able to combine our resources and the mapping of where there are kitchens, how many people are going there, how do you then alleviate the pressure around that particular kitchen. So yeah, some mapping of our community kitchens and where they are would really be very, very essential. So yeah, that from our side is what I think are some of our big needs as such.
Thank you very much, Petrina. It's almost we have 5 minutes to 8, so we aim to finish by 8 o'clock, hopefully. In the last round, I would like you to talk for a minute or two about the reality that the situation that we find ourselves in did not come about with the lockdown. The greater part of the situation was already there. Some of us were aware of it, but we now know more about it, and it is more serious. So going forward, we're not sure. We've got 2 more weeks of lockdown, but no one can guarantee that everything will be back to normal after 2 weeks, and it probably will not be. So how do you see this kind of work turning into more sustainable projects after the lockdown? Because I think it's difficult to keep feeding people for years and years to come. Yes, government has to play the bigger part here, but in terms of the community projects like you guys, what do you think are the things that should be done? What kind of projects should be undertaken so that we offer more long-term and sustainable solutions to the people in need? Ms. Petrina, you want to go? I see your
Well,
microphone is on.
I think from my side, for many years, there's been a major push for some form of a social or a basic income grant. And I think that is really something now that we're going to be coming out of this particular lockdown, and it's going to take a while before people are going to be able to build up their reserves again. Companies are going to be able to get back to paying their staff or even employing staff back. There needs to be some support. And yes, soup kitchens and community kitchens and food parcels are not the only thing. I think that government is going to have to look more seriously again and revisit the strategy of a social, of a basic income grant for everyone, and that we then not have this approach that they have of having to have certain criteria to be able to access it, because their means test just does not work. It's been proven. And so it should be a grant that's available to everyone. And I think that is going to be definitely one way of addressing the concerns that we have out there, and also making sure that solidarity fund that they have available, that more people are able to access that solidarity fund. Right now, it just seems like it's only a few, and also even in terms of calls for proposal to be able to get some of the relief funds that there are for businesses. We need to be looking at even some of our second economy businesses that are not registered. How do they also access the fund, the solidarity fund, so that they can revive themselves post the lockdown?
Thank you very much, Katrina. And I'll move on to Serkan now. So Serkan, can you tell us about in a minute or two, what kind of other projects that you have which are more sustainable in the long term, so that while we feed people now in this time of crisis, we also offer them long-term solutions?
We have been involved our service with long-term projects already. Because of the lockdown, we had to cancel. We believe that the importance of empowering people and skill development for everyone to sustain a more quality lives and better standards. And that's why we have initiated skill development empowerment centers in different parts of South Africa. We offer sewing classes, knitting classes, art classes, baking classes, and community lectures and health-related seminars. And we visit and all these activities are for ladies, so that we want them to help people actively take part in South African economy and eliminate inequalities between men and women. And we also provide extra tuitions for the kids between grade 2 to grade 8. And we run different sport activities, and we would like to add more also. But because of this corona, we couldn't, we had to stop. But we are thinking of doing this online courses. But again, it's not easy because most of the people, they don't have airtime. And maybe in the near future, if it goes on like this, we have to knock the doors of different network providers or different sponsors to donate us some vouchers so that we can forward it to the people, and they can update their phone, and they can we carry on our courses. And other ones are our youth clubs at the schools. We try to motivate the young people, to fully engage in solving their own problems and canalize them to positive ways so that they can become very active citizens. And our youth clubs aim to help reduce the risk of becoming involved in unsafe activities such as abusing drugs and alcohol. Again, and most of the kids are doing their online tertiary now. Maybe we can also join that way to run our activities and our weekly meetings with our young members via online. And our second-hand clothes, one of our other long-term project is we again can carry on even irrespective of lockdown or not.
Thank you very much. Jonathan, on your side, what do you think? How do you see these projects to continue in the future and become more sustainable development for the community?
Let me say, I think, like I said in my introduction, luckily for me, this is what I do. I've been working in youth development for the past 20 years. Worked with specifically with troubled young people in gangs, in prison, on drugs, for 16 years, so that's 20 years. And this last 4 years has been around building collectives, helping people work together, because we've realized that people have become too comfortable in their silo spaces, doing their own thing, yet aren't even reaching 15 young people at a time. So apart from this group of people that is now responding to the food security of Manenberg, we have another group, or which we call the Manenberg Youth Partnership. And this group of people is specifically organizations that is working directly with young people, in whatever form. Sports, education, health, whatever form of services directly to young people, this group of organizations do. And we are actually using social media right now to plan out some stage activities. And we're using the cradle to career concept, asking the question, what would a young person need to be successful from the age of 1 till 6, from 6 till 12, and from 12 till 18, and from 18 till 24. And so we'll break. So that's it. We're using WhatsApp groups right now to discuss that and formulate. And then we're hoping to then say, okay, if a young person needs educational support, who in this room has that? Who services that? What is that your mandate? And if someone or if you put up the hand, then we say, cool, now you make that happen. If we do not have that person in the room, we're going to find that person outside. Because we definitely, if you're saying that that's what that young person needs, then we need to definitely make sure that that young person gets that. If it's feeding, then who's in the room to do that? If it's sports, who do we get it? And so already we have about 9 different organizations meeting regularly together. We have people that is doing some specific educational support. We do specific sports intervention. We have an organization that is now, so they help young people apply for tertiary education, because in our communities, it's very difficult. People, they don't necessarily think about tertiary education because, before, they would never make it through. So this organization helps unemployed young people apply for tertiary education through, and as well as NASPERS and whatever. Then we, have an organization that is specifically dealing with trauma. Helping, in our communities, trauma is a real thing every day, So we don't talk about post-traumatic stress because that means that actually, the event has happened and now we're suffering from it. In our communities, I've been raped and the rapist is still outside. He might even be my neighbor. He might be living in my house. So I'm suffering this particular stress all the time. So we helping young people develop coping mechanisms and supporting people in the room. We also have another organization that its specific work is around training young people to in conflict mediation. Because we live in a very violent community and the Cape Flat is very violent, often the only way to resolve something is to smack someone or to do something that physically shows that I'm not scared at you. I'm not going to allow you to walk over me. So we're training young people in nonviolent communication. We're training young people in basic conflict mediation on the schools. Hopefully, when schools open again, we'll have them start again. So that within there, we're already doing that. Within the other group that is now feeding, there is organizations that is doing work. Apart from this, we've now said, okay, we can't continue with that work because we're in lockdown, so we're going to feed people. But the conversation has now said that actually, you know what? We cannot make people dependent on us feeding them. We must feed those that cannot feed themselves. So we must make sure that that continues moving forward. And so those are the people we're looking at is seniors, people on treatment, disabled people, children under the age of 14. If you are able to become a positive contributor in the community, we need to find a way of you making. So some of that might go through some of the organizations that hard skills, bricklaying, carpentry, as basic implementations. We're planning a hard school, skill school, because we have a very high number of adults that has dropped out of school at a very young, a low grade. And so it's very difficult actually to get a good job. But often, these people have trades yet don't have the qualifications. So they might be able to do carpentry because they've been working in there, but they don't have the actual, documentation to say, hey, I am a carpenter. So they get paid peanuts, and people get taken advantage of it. So, helping.
A few seconds.
Yeah. So what we are trying to do is to make sure that some of the work that we're planning continues moving forward. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much to all the panelists, Jonathan, Serkan, Petrina. It's been great talking to you. Great to hear about the work that you do. And we really hope that among the listeners, we've managed to raise some awareness and willingness to get involved in the work that you do going forward. There are a few short comments that I would like to read them. They came through. Barry was asking what's the role of religious communities at this time. I think Jonathan spoke about mosques and I think Petrina spoke about the mosques and churches operating in the community. Then Sherizan said the vouchers, Petrina, vouchers are a brilliant idea, empowering the needy so that they can buy what they need. Barry was also raising the issue of sustainability. How do we build sustainability, though all this is emergency response? I think we've tried to discuss that in the last round. And then Barry is also asking if anyone is doing planting food gardens, and it's something that we can maybe think about going forward. And we might need to have another discussion on this issue because we still have 2 weeks of lockdown. We're not sure what it is going to bring, and then after the lockdown, the challenges might change, but it will continue. So thank you very much to us, all our speakers, to everyone who has been following us on different platforms. Before we end, I will again ask you, this is a bit of it's like becoming like a TV journalism now. We're asking everyone to share this message with everybody and try to ensure that you follow these social media accounts. And also we will hopefully share on our social media platforms the contact details of organizations which have participated today, so that people can find you if they've got R1 million that they want to donate somewhere, so they can put some smiles on everyone's face. And we are planning as Turquoise more programs to come on various issues. We would like to look at parenting during this time. We'd like to look at psychological effects of how the lockdown has been treating people and how people are actually responding to the stress that comes with the lockdown. And also, we would like to really appeal to everybody. Please, please, please get involved. Do something. Call the domestic worker who used to come to you, who is not able to come now. Ask her or him if they need something. Pay them still if you can. even if they don't come and work for you, because it's as been raised here. It's the situation is not normal, and we really need to play our part. And also from my side, from our side, would like to ask everyone to remember the people who have to work on this time, especially the emergency workers, the doctors, the nurses, the emergency personnel, the security personnel. They have to put their lives online every day. It's really, they need, like Jonathan said, everyone needs the psychological support, a word of support. Please do that, raise it on various platforms, on your WhatsApp groups, on your social media. Thank people who are putting their lives online so that we can stay safe in our homes. And I think from my side, as again, that is all I wanted to say in closing. Again, we will thank everyone once again, and we pray for you. We appreciate the work that you do, and please continue to do the excellent work that you're doing. We, on behalf of everyone that is watching, I would like to thank you for really selflessly sacrificing your time, your efforts, and then pursuing this noble cause. Thank you very much, and good evening to everybody.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you, Jonathan and Bettina.
Thank you, everyone.
Nice.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.